Narcissistic love, Ruth. This is a great tool, but like all the tools, we have our own twist. Validation versus keeping the peace. Why you need to stop talking about sex if you're not having sex. That it is the man's fault. Marriage sucks. I'm Cass.
I'm Kathryn. You go in and you lay a boundary without connection, it breeds more disconnection.
Why are you in this messy marriage? And it's not what you think.
Don't do that, because then that is not authentic. That's fake, and you're trying to be somebody that you're not.
You need the foundation to have the intimacy, but right now you need to rebuild the foundation.
We're MorrowMarriage.
Let's flip divorce statistics with the new marriage.
Hey, it's the MorrowMarriage podcast, guys, and we have a super cool episode for you today. Narcissistic love, Ruth. If you don't know, I am a managing, self-aware, severe narcissist. I had a relapse, I think 12 weeks ago already, first time in a couple of years. But, we've had lots of in-depth conversations. First of all, thank you, baby cakes. My sweet love here, she's on such a growth journey always, just like I am. And one of the things that she's just been diving into is a couple things. No More Mr. Nice Guy. If you don't know, I'm a certified coach. It's heavily into my program. And also narcissism. And I believe that nice guys, it's not that they're all extremely bad like I was, but there is a lot of narcissistic tendencies, a lot of traits. And so we've had some really in-depth conversations surrounding narcissism, and some new courses that you've been taking and reading the book and things like that. And we won't get too much into all that today, but what I wanted to talk about today was that we had a great conversation the other day, love, about empathy and how much I want to love and how hard I have to work at love because of how my brain works and how my brain is wired. And I just thought that'd be great for our listeners.
Yeah, and the question you asked was, if I can make all of this growth, because he no longer meets the criteria of narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, if I can make all of this growth, how come my empathy doesn't grow in an equal and opposite way type thing?
Yeah, like why isn't it as proportionate? Because I do feel, but especially when it's connected to somebody like my wife, of course, right? The children more, like Kathryn the most, the children a little less. And then with people that I work with, the more I get to know you, the more I have empathy for you. And then I can be empathetic and I guess compassionate towards other people, but I have to really work at it because I started with learning the skills, like the right things to say, right? Oh, that must suck. That must feel terrible. I can appreciate where you're coming from. But of course, like many of you, even if you don't have any of these big bad tendencies or behaviors, what happens is your partner feels like you're psychoanalyzing them. It's like psychobabble. Don't use those phrases on me. It's all a joke. But I think that if you understand where I'm coming from in the perspective, maybe it will help you understand, even though your partner, because more than likely your partner has more empathy than this guy right here, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right?
Most people do.
Yeah.
So you can, if you're listening to this and you're thinking your partner is so bad, they don't have empathy, please remember where we're coming from. And we're not sugarcoating it for that exact reason. If he can learn how to be more empathetic, if he can learn how to be not so narcissistic and change some of these traits, you or your partner can do it too.
That's right. And I was like I said, severe, like every box on the test. Okay. Whenever we do a test. So I want to encourage you first and foremost.
And in the DSM, you have to only meet 5 of the 9 criteria. And I think you meet all 9.
All 9.
Used to. No longer meets the criteria.
Well, and we should just talk about that for a second. So it's not like I don't meet them. Okay. There are times when I think I could check every box. Okay. And then there are times when it's like, well, that would be my tendency and I understand. And then there's times where reality can be distorted. And, she'll give me a reality check, for example. One of my guys will give me a reality check, for example. What I mean by that is one of my mentors that I train. But like, that's what's really important to understand is when that reality gets distorted, you start to meet some of those criteria again. And all of a sudden, this is when you're like so upset at your partner. It's how our brain is working though. We also talked about, I personally believe it's genetically, it can be genetically, but you can be trained. I believe I was trained. My father's a narcissist. It was supported by my twin brother, who I think is way worse than me. I believe is way worse than me. And my mom, who's very selfish, but I don't think she's a narcissist. Okay. And so I think that if you can understand that, whatever you're going through, whatever traits you have, like these are all learned behaviors, especially if you understand the nice guy.
And it
Okay.
goes all the way back to when you were in utero. Attachment issues happen. That's the other thing I'm studying right now. I'm connecting narcissism to attachment. And it's funny, when I read Norman, Mr. Nice Guy, the first couple of chapters, that's what he's describing. Narcissism and attachment.
They just
And
weren't
so
talking about this stuff back then. Right.
Yeah, not as much. And when he's saying you're conditioned or you're trained, it's because of the relationships that you have with these people in your life, where there is a severing of human connection. And when there's a severing of human connection, then you experience attachment trauma, and attachment trauma can lead into narcissism, lack of empathy. It can also lead into types of narcissism where there's extreme empathy, but there's so much anxiety and anxiousness based on, does that person love me? Does everybody think I'm okay? Which that's like the No More Mr. Nice Guy, nice guy
Looking for approval
as well, looking for approval.
Yeah. So I think that you should understand something really key here as well, because some of you might be like, well, I didn't really have a bad childhood, right? Kids are egocentrical. I have the running joke that all of our kids are narcissists. I mean, how many times you've been gaslighted by your kid? But Vail just did it the other day. You never listen to me. That's one of her favorite ones. You never listen to me, and we're like literally listening to her. But so I have this like joke about it, but at the same time, it's really what it is kids are egocentrical, right? And so even if you have the best parents on the planet, they can't meet your needs as fast as you want them, especially if you have more than one sibling. But even still, I mean, yeah, you're planning to get them the milk that they're asking for. They're losing their mind because they don't know they're going to get the milk, right? And so we start to feel like our needs aren't being met, and then this starts to. So it can just happen. It's called a paradigm, and it's edited, and it shifts and it edits as you go through your life and your relationships. So now, if you understand all that, we can just say, okay, well, that means we can unedit it. So let's talk about, if you have love in your life with somebody who's got some of these traits, the first myth is that they can't change. If you can edit your programming from when you were a child, and you can start to change things the way that I have, then you can actually help your partner as well. Okay. Kathryn does work with me on react. Like, we have a line that we teach in our programs, and we're going to do an episode coming up on it. But,
Ooh, the suspense. I know the line.
we both know that's not true. It's a line that Kathryn just had to learn. I don't know where you got it from, if you made it up or what, but who cares? Because I would be in my reality showing so much love, showering, and then ripping it all away again. Okay. No understanding, no empathy. And I would say whatever I had to say to cut her down. Okay. And she would say,
We both know that's not true, because
That's
you
right.
can't argue with a narcissist. When you say we both, you're showing that you're on the same team. I won't say too much if that's our next episode.
yeah, we're going to do a future episode here. I've
Okay.
got it on the schedule. But so that's the first thing I want you to understand is you can be there for your partner, but you have to also be aware that they can change. You also have to be aware that they have to want to change. If
Can I stop you for a second?
yeah,
It's really interesting that you say they have to want to change. And that is the accepted answer. Someone has to want to change. But if you are influential enough, someone will change just by being around you. They might not even know they want to change. I can't tell you. So there's no secret. I have a very big personality, very boisterous. I almost said poisonality. I'm very boisterous. I take up a lot of space, someone described. And that's who I am. I take up a lot of space, and I easily lead people in the direction I'm going. I have to be very careful because I do lead people in the direction that I'm going. They may not have consciously said, hey, I want to follow her, or hey, I want to do what she's doing. Naturally, there's this draw. And so while your partner might not want to change and might not realize he or she has to change, if you can be that magnetic in your behavior and in your mindset and in your everything about yourself, your partner might not necessarily want to change yet, but you can start the process. And as they start to feel better, because I would say you started to feel better before you really knew that you needed to change. You were so stuck in your mindset of, I already did all my change. He used to say, I'm tired of teaching. I want to learn. I don't want to teach you. And I was like, oh my goodness, if he could only see from bird's eye view what was happening in our
I had
marriage.
so many lines. I have the gift of change. I had so many
lines.
But
and looking back now, he recognizes more of the big picture, as do I. Like looking back is always different than looking at it in the moment. But I used to get so mad when he'd be like, I'm tired of learning. I'm tired of teaching. I'm here to learn. And I'm like, I'm teaching you. Like what? Just open up your brain. And so the whole point of me telling you that is that as you influence with your own behavior, then it softens your partner to be more open to making bigger changes.
And this is both ways, guys. This is men and women. Obviously, if you don't know,
And if you're a man, you have even more power to do that.
I think so, because if you start to bring your assertiveness, or sorry, your aggressiveness to assertiveness, but gentle, if you're loving, if it's a safe place, like so much. But I don't want to downplay the women. Like, I mean, for hands down, like women, I love the way you describe it. Excuse me, you say when a woman stands in her own power.
Strength.
Your strength. You don't know the power that you have. Thank you. And it's true. Like Kathryn can lift me in ways when I'm back, especially the old days when I was super, super insecure. Like I can still get insecurities. I don't know if they'll ever go away, but I just know how to manage it. Can check that reality.
And we
pretty
manage
quick.
it together.
But then there are other times, where I could feel attacked very easily. And she's like, we both know that's true. And then there's other times where she just smiles and goes, hey, babe, and we work our way through this, but it's through the understanding of what is going on up here, whether it's on my side, her side, or us coming together and figuring it out. Okay. When we talked about that narc out that I had on that episode, I said, the reason why we can move forward is because Kathryn trusts me. Kathryn loves me. Kathryn, it's not just about the commitment anymore. There's a team, there's a partnership, there's a complete alliance. I was feeling very, different would be a good word. I don't know. Coming back from Africa, I missed you so much. And like, it wasn't that I was insecure. Can't really recognize it yet, but it's feeling a little off. Let's say there was all the excitement and wanting to be with Kathryn and the kids and living our life. And somewhere in there, I guess I was kind of in one of my lows. It just happens. Okay. I can't help it. And most time I can check it. Most time I can move forward. And you just looked at me. You're like, you're such a great man. And I needed more. So I was like, why, baby? And then you just elaborated and poured into me. So you don't know your power, guys, men and women, until you just start influencing that love. I was snapped out of it. I was like, okay, let's go. And then I had some work to do. You know what I mean? So understand, it doesn't come natural. Sometimes it is work. If you're talking about a case like me, okay? It's not like Kathryn didn't have to work on defensiveness, and she still tells everybody
Still do.
every day she says it.
Still work on it all day.
Yeah. So
not all day. He doesn't attack me all day, every day. He used to. I used to have to work on it all day. He doesn't attack me at all anymore.
No, but I think that I hear you talk about it all the time, because we're speaking with so many people. There's comments on social media. There's all these different levels to why you might feel defensive, right? You get cut off in traffic. That's defensive reaction when you're like, fuck you. Like
that's not how I react, but yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I'm talking to people that do.
Yeah, of course.
So I want you to understand this. If you want to learn empathy, you practice with things like, I'm trying to understand. That's really what it was in the beginning. I would say the words, but I'm trying to understand. So you'd say, I understand where you're coming from. And you actually have to try, right? I had to start asking questions. I had to start diving in. And when I teach men to do this, it's not just if you're as bad as me, but I think that a lot of you men have lost empathy, lost compassion. If you can show that your wife is loving, empathetic, nurturing, that's a woman. Like women want to be that way. She's just lost it along the way. And if you're a woman that saw this is a flip, well, then you should probably want to be your natural, loving, empathetic state anyways, right? Anything to add, babe?
No, I think that's good.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Bye.